mode, but now that he's made some of these moves, they have given permission for the ground units to re-engage. However, they have fallen back a little bit, and now you see he's got a lot of residential street to play with here without anybody behind him. He's basically zigzagging his way through the streets of southwest LA, doing about 35, 40 miles per hour, making very random turns. If there is a unit in the area, they were looking for a spike strip, but right now these turns appear to be too random, and he's traveling too fast to really set up for a successful spike strip. So we'll see if there's anybody else inside the vehicle. A strong indication that he may be looking for an opportunity to just dump this vehicle based on some of these moves here, or he could keep it going. You just never know what's going through this guy's mind. It does not look like there's anybody in the passenger seat. And again, David, we do not know what the original want was here for this vehicle.
We're getting some reports that it is a robbery suspect out of the South LA station. We do know that there's some damage there to the passenger side, but we're not sure if that happened during this pursuit or not. But certainly driving erratically enough to have that kind of...
Chris, have you heard of any collisions that he might have gotten into during this pursuit?
We have not received word of any collisions, not to say that there haven't been any, but we are not aware of any, and it's certainly unclear whether this vehicle belongs to the suspect. You know, we say robbery suspect, we do not know if this vehicle was involved in the original crime. Maybe a carjacking, that could be a robbery, or maybe it is a GTA suspect with other crimes related to a robbery, or it is his vehicle. We just don't know. So a lot of questions, but to answer your direct question, that passenger side damage, unclear at this point where it came from. A lot of unknowns here as they try and catch up with this suspect. Right now, he is continuing to move through South LA without anybody behind him. And I think as of now, LA County Sheriff is keeping an eye on him with their helicopter. So they do have eyes on the suspect. It'll be interesting to see if they keep this in surveillance mode or do decide to re-engage, considering where he is here. Again, we're traveling westbound on 58th Place, coming up just past Buckler, continuing west here through, I want to say, this is like the Baldwin Hills area, or just south of Baldwin Hills. Now making a southbound turn. That's going to bring him much closer to LAX, and there are the black and whites. Two SUVs in position, now making a left turn with him as he continues southbound on Overhill Drive. Again, a street that's going to take him right into LAX's approach path, which would basically force them to call off that helicopter, and it'll come down to those ground units who are following right behind. We saw two of them. Two black and whites, now not too far behind the suspect, who was traveling at about 60 miles per hour down a residential street. Another close call there as he made a wild right turn as that street came to an end, now turning onto Fairview Boulevard, again traveling at a high rate of speed through residential streets.
Always a dangerous situation when they go through these residential streets, especially this time of night. 6 o'clock in the evening, a lot of people heading out. It's been so hot during the day, but watching this guy drive right through, plowing through these red lights and stop signs as well.
You just saw where there's almost a collision between the police pursuing him and somebody who is flying through that intersection coming the other direction, and that's part of the danger of these high-speed pursuits.
It was a great example of why they have to treat this so much more carefully than the driver, because he just flew right through that red light and there was cross traffic. Had that black and white, that primary unit, not stopped for that red light, there would have been a major collision right there with that cross traffic. So he came to a full stop. Even with the lights and sirens on, they have to come to that stop, and then they will continue the pursuit through these busy intersections here. Here comes a busier intersection, La Cienega and Fairview Boulevard, right through the red light, around traffic, into cross traffic, making the right turn, and narrowly missing that cross traffic there with vehicles flying through that red light, or they had the green light, and now he's making the northbound turn onto La Cienega Boulevard. Those units behind him may have fallen back a little bit. Again, they will come to a complete stop at that intersection. He actually, for a brief time, went into oncoming lanes of traffic to get around that red light into the northbound side of La Cienega Boulevard, and now looking for an exit opportunity here. This is a transition road, I believe, that he'll put it back onto surface streets. There's a black and white unit right there. That may be LAPD. They may or may not know what's going on, but here's those sheriff's deputies two of them, those two SUVs, managing to navigate that busy intersection, and still right behind him as he makes a left turn going westbound on Slauson Avenue over the median, desperate to get around these busy intersections. He's going right into oncoming lanes of traffic to get around and dodge all of those brake lights there, and they again are in a position where they have to fall back. So a very desperate driver behind the wheel here who is not showing signs of giving up anytime soon. If there was any hope of him dumping the vehicle, it appears that the pressure they are applying is putting him in a mental state where he is just gunning it. He's basically blowing through every red light in town and putting a lot of lives at risk at the same time here. Not afraid to go the wrong way on some of these busier streets here. Again, we are in the middle of rush hour as he continues westbound Slauson Avenue, coming up on Bristol Parkway in the left turn lanes, only to go straight through here, cutting everybody off over the double yellow paint. And now you can see they are going to try and keep up with him, but this is getting more dangerous by the second, guys, just by the erratic driving that we're seeing here.
Absolutely. He's refusing to stop. He's run a couple of more red lights. Luckily, that last one turned right at the last second, so he was able to get through it as people were just getting underway. So he dodged a bullet on that one as well. But there's no response time with the speeds that he's taking, and it's only a matter of time before he collides with somebody. Hopefully, they could hear the lights and sirens coming their way. That's one hope, and they have now 3 units behind him.
I mean, he was barely even braking at those red lights, and now he's made a right turn. He had the green light there, made a right turn northbound Sepulveda Boulevard. 3 LA County Sheriff's deputies now right behind him, and you saw in that shot just a moment ago the helicopter right above him. And as he travels northbound on Sepulveda Boulevard, it'll be much easier for that airship right there to stay right overhead. They will have a very clear view of this vehicle and even inside the vehicle as he continues northbound Sepulveda Boulevard. In fact, it would not be surprising to me if they pull back on the ground. It's getting so dangerous, it would not be surprising at all if the watch commander says, listen, let's put this back in surveillance mode, and we might see those 2 units right there fall back considerably as long as that helicopter has eyes on that suspect. That's a judgment call they will have to make. They've already made it once, and they have put this into surveillance mode at least once or twice already. And just based on the dramatic increased danger of the driving that we're seeing here would not surprise me at all. Right now, still in pursuit mode, those units right behind him, keeping a very close distance, at least as close as they can, as he continues northbound Sepulveda Boulevard.
This driver sure seems agitated enough for them to go put it into surveillance mode. We see his windshield wipers on too. It looked like through that shot that perhaps he's just one sole passenger in that car. Hopefully, for the sake of just safety, you hate to see this.
Yeah, we've been able to confirm that there's nobody in the passenger seat. It's just unclear because those windows are so heavily tinted, impossible to see in the back seat there. That is something that they probably are able to see with the infrared on that helicopter, but in any event, we just don't know. But the passenger seat does appear to be empty now, making a right turn. He is now eastbound on Culver Boulevard, another busy intersection there, barely slowing down as he passes through Combs Avenue, heading westbound Culver Boulevard at a high rate of speed. LA County Sheriff's deputies in hot pursuit here as they continue this chase into Culver City. And as he gets further towards the east here, it's going to get much busier towards the heart of Culver City. Culver City PD obviously monitoring this pursuit as well. They will not get involved in all likelihood unless they are requested to do so. But right now, it is in the hands of those deputies now head-to-head with some of this oncoming traffic on Culver Boulevard over the median and back into the correct lanes, getting closer and closer to downtown Culver City, making a right turn on LaSalle Avenue back into a residential street. This may be the end because there are not going to be a lot of exit opportunities out of this neighborhood. He's going to have to slow down quite a bit here. Hopefully, one can only hope that he slows down. He's doing 55 miles per hour down this very residential street, hitting the dip really hard there, and he is not long for this chase. If this continues at these high rates of speeds, somebody is going to get hurt.
And at this point, you're pretty close to airspace now, aren't you?
No. I'm sorry?
Are you getting closer to LAX airspace?
We've moved away. We're a little further north.
Okay.
We're north of the Slauson boundary, and now we're well into Culver City proper, where they have good eyes on him with that sheriff's deputies, that sheriff helicopter, I should say. And if that doesn't work, and if there's a fuel situation with that helicopter, they will call for LAPD to continue this aerial following. But right now, LA County sheriffs are the primary agency. That helicopter is right overhead, and as far as I could tell, those deputies are not far behind him. It looks like he's slowing down, trying to squeeze through. He didn't have enough room there, trying to squeeze through a stop sign, and now he's continuing to pick up speed here on Farragut Drive at Duquesne Avenue, making a turn into oncoming lanes of traffic, trying to squeeze through, threading the needle on Duquesne, and trying to get around all of that residential traffic, but he's in oncoming lanes of traffic on the bike path now, trying to get back on the correct side. These are no more than 1 or 2 lane residential streets, back around this traffic here, doing whatever he can to get away from those pursuing officers. If they haven't already, they are almost imminently going to put this back into surveillance mode. I can't confirm whether that has happened yet, but this is about to take a step back. At least those ground units are about to take a step back as the that helicopter is following close behind here. They just don't typically take that risk, at least the sheriff's department, in most situations like this. But we'll see if those units catch up to him.
Yeah, he was clocking up to 80 miles an hour on Culver. Those smaller streets going 60 miles an hour. There's no reaction time when you're moving that quickly.
Oh no! Look at this. He is gunning it, going the wrong direction on Jefferson Boulevard. Look at all of the traffic there is here. He is having to navigate traffic going in both directions, zigzagging across the median here, just trying to get around anybody in his way. And now I expect that we may see some additional mutual aid join forces here. But look at that. Those 3 primary units are right behind him still. LA County Sheriff's Department not giving up on this guy. This is a dangerous driver behind the wheel of this vehicle, and despite whatever crimes have been committed, they may have been willing to put this into surveillance mode earlier, but it certainly appears that they are not letting up at this point. They are putting a lot of pressure on him, and that is partially the reason why I think we're seeing some of this more agitated driving. Again, you pointed out, Ellen, he's got the windshield wipers on for whatever reason. Unclear what that's about, but you know, these guys sometimes do crazy things for no reason at all, depending on their mental state and depending on what's going on inside that vehicle. But again, he's just zigzagging through a very residential street here, once again in a back alley. This is Parham Drive near Wright Crest Drive in Blair Hills. These are all very residential streets with cul-de-sacs and dead ends left and right. That's why I say I just didn't think he was going to have an opportunity to get out of that maze in Culver City. We're now a little bit further south, not too far south, just south of Culver City. We might even be in the city limits, but he's continuing further south here now on Louis Avenue, turning onto Stoneview now, Stoneview Drive, as you can see on Sky Map right here. 1, 2, 3 SUVs. Those Sheriff's Explorers, or Interceptors, I should say. They are Ford Explorers, highly modified Ford Explorers that are trying to catch up with the suspect.
Yeah, this the speeds are really fast. There's some tight turns, but there wasn't a lot of traffic in that area. I wonder, because they were really approaching the backside of him, if they would try to pit maneuver, maybe right here.
This might be.
He might be stuck.
Maybe. No. Oh man, he's had a lot of opportunities to just give this up already. You know, he's had his time in the sun here, but I just tell you, he is really showing signs of desperation. You don't get the impression he's going to go very peacefully. Now it's a dead end, and now we'll see if he gives up. He's backing up. Deputies with their guns drawn, the vehicle coming to a stop. This is precarious, guys. He's come to a dead end here with deputies with their guns out, pointed squarely at that driver's seat. But the behavior that we've seen here in the last few minutes just doesn't give you a lot of confidence that he's going to surrender. Let's hope that he does. Let's just hope that he thinks twice about pulling anything wise and just opens up that driver's side door.
Right. A similar incident reminds me of the pursuit we covered last week when it ended with that shooting where the guy refused to take his foot off the accelerator, refused to give up, even though one hand was out the window. That's still a controversial end of a pursuit. Here we have the door open for something similar to happen here, depending on what he decides to do.
The fact that the door is still closed is not encouraging, but you're right, David. This is the most dramatic and heart-pounding point of any pursuit. The most dangerous part of a chase is when it comes to a stop, especially when the suspect feels trapped. And in a dead end like this, he's got nowhere to go. And he starts to analyze his escape routes. What are his possible options here? There now at his disposal. He's communicating, he's agitated, rolling down the window, yelling at those deputies and not opening the door. Very animated, trying to yell at those deputies. It is not encouraging. He needs to calm down, and let's just hope that he takes a minute to relax, takes a deep breath, because right now, David, you're so right. This is looking a lot like that pursuit that came to an end exactly a week ago.
Yeah, that was really a tragic ending to that pursuit that's still being questioned. And today, right now, we're seeing that person who was in that driver's seat, which you could see how tinted those windows are, because now you can't see anything that's going on inside that vehicle because of that tint. But that person, for whatever reason, is extremely agitated. I don't know what you could be saying to law enforcement officers at this point when they have you dead to rights, you need to give up, you have nowhere to go. How do you negotiate your way out of that? This is where, when it comes to somebody's mental state, whether they're on something, all of that comes into play, and that consideration on how to handle a suspect like this when you have them at a complete standstill, and yet they will not give up.
So right about that, David. The only silver lining here is that the general public, at the moment, the general public, the folks who are just trying to get home from work, appear to be safe at this point, as he is pretty much blocked into this cul-de-sac here, this dead end just off of Wright Crest Drive in Blair Hills. He's at the driveway of a gated home right there at the end of the dead end, and those deputies basically have this entire neighborhood now locked down. So he really doesn't have anywhere to go, at least with the vehicle. Always the possibility of him trying to open the door and run for it. Not that he would get very far there, but aside from those two options, let's just hope that he surrenders peacefully here. It may take some time for him to calm down. They may call for additional units. They're going to set up spike strips just to ensure that he has nowhere else to go without immobilizing the vehicle. But if it goes on much longer, that's when they put out the call for the Special Enforcement Bureau, and then it'll be an extended standoff at that point. There you see the spike strips being set up right behind the vehicle. If he does decide to put it in reverse, that will knock out those rear tires. That will begin bleeding off air. Again, that's if he puts the vehicle back in reverse. He's showing his right hand. He's showing both hands. Both hands are out the window, but still, he's still yelling at those officers. Now, he may be yelling because it's loud, and he's trying to yell above the helicopter noise or whatever else. For whatever other reason, he is just very agitated. You could just tell how animated he is, even with his hands both being shown out the window there. They're instructing him. They're giving him very specific orders to shut the vehicle off and open that driver's side door, but he is not listening. He's doing all the talking right now.
Well, apparently to the scanner chatter they're listening to right now at our desk, there may be a baby in that vehicle. The suspect may be lying, but the deputies are asking him to roll down all the windows. They want to check on that. So his agitation, we don't know if that's reportable or not, but.
Well, that would be definitively the most nightmarish scenario you could think of for these deputies in this particular situation. I mean, there's virtually nothing that would give these guys second thought in terms of using force if this guy does anything dangerous or poses a threat to either the residents in this neighborhood or those deputies, except for the possibility of a child in the rear seat there. With a child or any even inclination of a child in the back seat, until they know for sure that that back seat is cleared, and that's probably unlikely at this point until they clear the vehicle, they are going to cheat. They're going to treat this with kid glove care from here on out.
What is that? Is that the child?
And Chris, is this a female or male occupant driving?
I can't tell. It looks like a Rob. Is that a man? It's a baby in a man's arms. That is a baby in his arms. That is a baby in his arms, and how did that baby get to the front seat is my sudden question. Was he driving like that with a baby just sitting in the passenger seat or on his lap the whole time? I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine. But it appears to be, we'll see here. We'll have a really clear view here in a second. That appears to be a small infant in his arms. It's a woman. Is it a woman or a man? I can't tell. It's a male. Well, either way, the suspect is stepping out of the vehicle from showing both hands. Now
someone
we
in the
have,
back seat.
there is somebody in the back seat. There is somebody in the back seat.
Dear.
The passenger has now opened up the driver's side door and the back seat. You just can't believe that that person has just led the LA County Sheriff's Department on a wild and dangerous pursuit in the middle of rush hour with a baby in that vehicle and other people inside of that car. This is just incredible, and hopefully he cooperates from here on out. This is just incredible.
Yeah, these are surprises. We're often surprised on what gets out of these vehicles at the end of pursuit, and it goes to show you never know. And that's why they always have to handle it where they have to be prepared for any possibility. This is one of those pursuits where the unexpected is happening from one moment to the next.
No kidding.
Right. I mean, look at this.
Wow.
This is giving me so much agita, guys. They cannot see his hands. Is he reaching for a baby or is he reaching for a gun?
It
looks like he was hugging the
no
person
idea.
hugging the person in the back seat.
They have no idea.
It puts them in such a precarious situation.
This is the worst. This is the worst
sobbing,
situation
like.
I can imagine in this scenario.
Oh my goodness.
They are pretty much handcuffed on how they could approach this. If it does suddenly turn violent, they have a really almost impossible situation to deal with, knowing that there is an infant child that is in harm's way.
Here comes the person in the back seat with the baby.
Here comes a woman out of the back seat with child. Driver stepping out of the vehicle, and now, this is not what they. This is not what they want to see here. This is not what they want to see.
Well, it sounds like
it's a high. This is a very intense moment with a lot of real life emotions and drama playing out here. But now you can see the woman coming towards those officers with child. Whether she was a willing participant or not, they will figure it out very quickly. They're going to take custody of the child temporarily because obviously somebody's being charged with child endangerment.
Oh my goodness.
But finally, it is up to the suspect to just give up peacefully at this point now that the baby is out of the picture. But this is about as tense as it gets, guys.
Well, thank goodness he's complying now with the orders, at least with both hands up and backing up.
That was stressful to watch. And keep in mind that the car is not clear. We don't know what else is in that car. And
that's right.
We have been surprised before, and that's where they're going to handle it as well, try to take care of this suspect, and then they'll check the vehicle. But this is going in the right direction, Chris.
There is so much training that comes into play in a situation like this. They drill for this all the time, and this is a perfectly executed felony stop here. After a wild chase that has come to a relatively peaceful end, these deputies faced with so many life or death decisions as they try and just wrap this up, and they're going to continue to treat this very carefully until they know for sure, as you mentioned, David, that that vehicle is completely cleared. But look at that. A dangerous driver involved in a robbery of some sort. You see the woman being placed into handcuffs until they figure out what her participation level was, and that innocent baby now in the custody of the LA County Sheriff's Department as they attempt to clear that vehicle. And you can see they have not taken their eyes off of that vehicle, nor have they taken their gun sights off that vehicle.
Right, just when you think we've seen every pursuit imaginable, you get a new surprise. That's incredible.
There's a lot of things to be thankful for at this stage, even though the car has not been cleared, so that's probably the next step. But as fast as he was driving, 80 miles an hour on surface streets with no reaction time, and then now to find out there was an infant child and a woman in the back seat of that vehicle, it's really remarkable that we're at this point, and so far so good when it comes to not seeing anybody getting hurt or any severe damage or anything like that.
And it looks like no movement in that car, so that...
Yep, approaching it very slowly, and it looks like they can rest easy here in just a second. The only thing left is popping open that trunk to make sure, but right now it does appear that they are prepared to issue the code 4 here in just a second. That would be an all clear. There's the code 4. Trunk is empty, and now we can say that this has come to a peaceful resolution, but not without some very, very tense moments after just an extremely dangerous chase here that's ending just south of Culver City.
Look
It's
at that
heartbreaking
shot.
to watch, to see that little child with the officer.
The deputy with the child trying to
goodness.
comfort the baby, and hopefully everything's okay when it comes to that. What an episode. What a pursuit.
Fly High Production with Mr. Follow Up. Squad up.